Hello and welcome to episode 8 of Stratford Live with Joe Draper
and Edward Lowe. In today's episode, Ed's going to be meeting Fran from the Traditional Cycle Shop, and we'll be learning about what makes their business special and their place here in Stratford. So that's going to be a really interesting one. We'll then be moving on to our stat chat, and this is going to be focused on a Monopoly board style effect of Stratford here and now. So stay tuned for that. After that, we'll be moving on to Ed's buy-to-let deal, and then we'll have our home styling tip, ending with events.
Well, morning, Fran. Thank you very much for giving us your time today. So first question, really, what is it you love most about the Stratford area?
Morning, Ed. I love the size of the Stratford area. I love the fact that it's compact. I love the fact that everyone knows everybody. And from our point of view here, I love the fact that it's a great weekend break destination.
Yeah.
Because we obviously want people to come into our shop. So it's great that people, if they're travelling, have got other things to do, they can go to the RSC. You know, there's Charcote Park, there's all these things they can see, and there's great places to stay as well.
Yeah, fantastic. So the Traditional Cycle Shop, tell us about it, to give us all of the history and information on
it. We've been here now for about 2.5 years, and our thing is we try and sell British designed and manufactured cycling brands. So great. Our main one is Pashley.
Yeah.
Pashley, who are located here in Stratford, they have been since the 1960s. Pashley have been making bikes since 1926, so over 90 years.
Yeah.
We also sell Moulton bicycles. So Moulton, they created the first small wheel bicycle in the 1960s. And then we sell Brooks saddles, which are still made over in Birmingham, and Carradise bags, which are made up in Lancashire and have been for about 80 years.
Wow, so it really is British through and through.
It is. Britishness, everything, every line we sell is we sort of look at how it looks really. The aesthetics are a huge part. It's always long lasting, it's always really good quality. It's usually repairable. If it's a bike or a bag, it tends to be your bike or bag for life. Yeah,
it's fantastic. It's great to see, actually. It's lovely to have sort of a British institution sort of located in our town here, which is great.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, Pashleys are, they're famous for. I mean, everyone will know the British Post Office bike, which Pashley made. So they're famous for that, but a few things they don't know. They currently make the Boris bike. So,
yeah, I heard that.
Or the Sadiq cycle, or whatever we're calling it these days.
Oh, is that what they're called now, is it?
If you get a latest generation of that, so with a slightly smaller wheel, that's a Pashley bike made here in Stratford.
Wow. Fantastic to know, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I noticed on the way in you've got one of the Morgan cycles, which is quite an interesting one. Do you have like a bestseller?
Yes, well that's actually one of our bestsellers at the moment. So Pashley have done a collaboration with Morgan Motors. And they've produced two Pashley Morgan bicycles, the Pashley Morgan 3 and the Pashley Morgan 8. And they are our best sellers at the moment. Very beautiful, very desirable, and a bit on fire at the moment.
So in terms of your sort of clientele then, do you sell mostly to local people? Do you get people coming far and wide?
No, we're definitely a destination shop, which is why it's so good that Pashley is a nice place to come. So we'll get people who will travel from all over the country. And we've had even people travel from. I've got someone coming from Germany next week.
Wow.
Our furthest travel has been Dubai.
Right. Okay.
But it can be anywhere from the south coast is very common up to Scotland.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is we've got the complete range of Pashley bikes. So pretty much every model, every size, every colour. So if somebody wants to come and test ride a bike,
this is the place
to come.
Yeah. And you say about a destination, because I've driven past this many times, and it's actually the first times I've come in here. I think it's a brilliant shop. I mean, it's well worth coming to visit. So how do you describe how to find you here then?
We are slightly hidden away, because people will come in and they'll say, "Oh my gosh, I've been in Stratford for 20 years. I didn't know you were here."
Yeah.
So we're tucked down beside the bridge across the river, and so between the bridge and the Crown Plaza. So we're tucked down there. If you've got the little green opposite the tourist information, follow the avenue of trees. That's always a nice place to walk.
Yeah.
And we're at the end of it.
Yeah, look out for swans and things. Yeah, great. Yeah. Now, somebody told me there's a little bit of quite an interesting fact, which is to do with the Shakespeare's birthday, that I think you historically has.
Yeah, so Moulton Bicycles, which was sort of created by Alex Moulton, who was a suspension engineer. So he designed, as well as the bicycles, he designed all suspension for British Leyland cars from the Mini up to the MGF.
Right.
His grandfather, well, we need a fact check here. It could have been his father. It's on our blog. It's on our blog, on our website. Yeah. He was responsible for the flagpoles, flying the flagpoles down on Bridge Street for Shakespeare's birthday. Yeah, it was his idea. He was a big sort of mover and shaker in the Shakespeare world back then.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because you go to this event every year and you wouldn't even think of that, and it's really nice to know there's actually a bit of a history and to understand a bit more about it. Which is great.
And Dr. Moulton, his name was. He lived on Rother Street, I think, which is what is now the Hotel du Vin. So he lived in that house there.
No way.
Yeah. And if you go on our blog, there's a picture of him or his family in a car outside that house. Yeah.
Wow. Well, there you go. A history lesson to do. Well, look, Fran, thank you very much for your time today. It's been a pleasure to meet you. Thanks again, and brilliant.
Absolute pleasure. Nice. Thank you very much, Ed. Cheers.
Thanks.
Really, really interesting interview with Fran. It was great of him to spare so much of his time because he does work quite independently at times, so he has got a lot to cover. I think it was, interesting for me. I mean, in terms of, where it was, because I didn't actually know where it was. I don't know if you did.
No, I'm guilty as well. I think it's fascinating, isn't it, that you drove past it literally twice, probably 3 times a day minimum, and yet it's never occurred to me to go and explore it. And it's brilliant. It's a fabulous outlet as well when you go in there. They've done it so well. It's got that absolute bang on trend, very industrial, very vintage, absolutely in line with the style of the bicycles, really. So it's well worth going to explore it and have a chat with him. Fran's great as well. He knows everything, as you'd expect.
So he's so passionate, isn't he?
Yeah.
That really comes across. And
absolutely.
I guess, because it's such a sort of handcrafted and lovingly made item, it's something to be cherished for a long time rather than, so many things these days are kind of throwaway items. So in many respects, it's quite poignant. I know that the bikes are all made here in Stratford as well, which again is something that's, just makes it extra special, really.
Yeah, very much so. It's great that all the pasty bikes are made here, literally in our area, which is lovely to see. So it's a bit like the Purity episode, actually, that everything is made locally and sourced locally. So it's great. And the quality of the bikes is unbelievable. I think you're right. If you buy one of those, you've got a bike for life. I mean, I had a whiz round on the Morgan 8. Didn't fall into the river, thankfully. Although
it was a bit close for comfort.
But it's such a comfy bike as well. I've got a road bike and a mountain bike, and I have to say, compared to the road bike, it was like a dream.
Yeah.
It was so comfortable to ride, and it's just even the technology behind it's really clever, because obviously they produce the Boris bikes. So they've got to have longevity, and the post office bikes prior to that. So they've just been designed so well, and there's real low maintenance to them. So
of course,
everything's sort of enclosed.
That's an important factor, isn't it?
It is,
yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
Definitely.
Really, really good.
There was another thing that Fran did mention, that for us as CV37 residents, which is a real kind of key factor.
Yeah, if you're interested in one, go down and see Fran. If you live in CV37, take a proof of address and you'll get 10% off any bike.
Yeah, that's a great deal, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It's well worth exploring that, because it's a decent amount of money off.
Definitely.
Yeah.
There was also another very sort of kind gesture that Fran had sort of donated.
Yeah, he's been very good. We've got a goodie bag for a competition which we'll release in a little bit later on the page. So check out that competition as and when it comes about, because it's well worth entering that, because it's a great goodie bag to get.
And so good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck. Someone's got to win.
In this episode Stat Chat, I'm going to be looking at the most expensive streets locally, well, specifically the top 20. But I thought this time I'd maybe gamify it just a little bit, make it a bit more interesting. So I've based all of this on the classic board game Monopoly. Now, if your child was anything like mine, this would generally end in tears and tantrums and people storming off because they'd land on a hotel and things would get flown across the table at you. So good memories nonetheless. So as we all know, Mayfair was generally the place to be, so to speak. So the game came out in 1935. Back then it was the most expensive street, and to buy a house was going to cost you just 400 quid. Imagine that. If you go back in a time machine now, wow, how cool would that be? But sadly these things we can't do. So I thought what I'd do is have a look and see, well, what's changed in 1935 and now, and what these would all be worth. So research now shows that a typical house in Mayfair costs a staggering 2.8 million, and bear in mind that is just an average. That's one heck of an average. But the total value of the Mayfair area is around 11.8 billion. So sadly, nobody really, unless you're probably a Russian oligarch, can actually afford these anymore. But there we go, fantasy land that we live in. But I think one of the great things about it was when you were looking in the game of who's going to land on what street and how you could get the most amount of value out of the whole street. So I've carried out some research in Stratford. There are 682 streets in the CB37 area, and I've compiled the top 20. So drum roll please. And here we go. So probably no great surprise, the equivalents of Mayfair and Park Lane are Banbury Road and Tinnington Road. A couple of surprise ones in there. Actually, I thought Old Kent Road, Avenue Road, I love that road, but I think that goes down to actually because there aren't many houses on that street. So that is why that comes in. But it still does fall in the top 20. So as I said, no great surprise at the Banbury Road and Tinnington Road. Ulster Road, Clopton Road, they're rightly there broadly because of the sheer size of the streets and the number of houses on there, but they all do fall into the top 20. So there's another little graph here, as you can see, just under 210 million of cumulative value, Tinnington Road, and then it goes all the way down. So yeah, it's really quite interesting. So it was quite good to compare from 1935 and the total house values and the streets, and looked at it from a slightly light-hearted point of view, because it's always good to have a little bit of humour in these things, and we all love the game of Monopoly. And as you know, there is a Stratford Monopoly set available, so maybe this is your chance to go and bring back that youth, go and buy one, and yeah, have a game with the family.
I really enjoyed that stat chat. I think it was very visual, first of all, bit of fun. And I think obviously take on board that it is an accumulative effect of the whole street or road, because obviously that plays a massive factor in putting each unit up or down, respectively. But yeah, really, really interesting, really cool.
Yeah, I think it was quite, when I was doing it, it was very interesting playing Monopoly haven't played for many years, admittedly, but when I did play it as a kid, it was always quite interesting. Yeah. So actually then to relate it back to on a local level was really quite a good bit of fun.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, really good, really good. Now we're going to be moving on to our buy-to-let deal of the week.
In this episode's buy-to-let deal, I have gone somewhere new, which is Lower Quinton, which I think is interesting to mention because it just goes to demonstrate that almost wherever you are in the region, there are some very good buy-to-let deals to be had, and Lower Quinton is no different. So what is it? Well, it's on Turnpike Drive. It's a mid-terrace property. I think something a little bit special about this one, it's been adapted, or the layout's been adapted to the downstairs, so you've got very much an open plan, very contemporary layout there now. 2 bedrooms. You can fit a double into the second bedroom, we've had this style before, you can be clever with how it works. You've got bathroom upstairs as well, nice garden, a little bit of decking, and then parking to the front. So this one should rent out for £750 per calendar month. It's on the market at the moment at 180,000. So assuming you get it for a figure close to that, you should be hitting that magic number of 5%. It's worthwhile mentioning this is a freehold property as well, so you haven't got any service charges or ground rent to pay on it, which is good. Well, why do I love it? Well, first and foremost, I think the condition is perfect. As a landlord, you know that you could literally turn it out straight to a tenant. You wouldn't have to do anything to it. It looks like it's been really well maintained, so it's a bit of a turnkey there in Turnpike. You're close to Stratford still, you've got amenities in the village, and also you're on the doorstep of the Cotswolds, so in a way, kind of what is not to like. It's on the market currently with Nicky Homes. Give the guys there a shout, take a look, see what you think.
Thanks so much, Ed, for another great buy-to-let deal. Just thinking about it though, could you just define a little bit of what is a good yield? Just so we've got a bit of a benchmark, really. Yeah, absolutely. Well, whenever I'm looking at it, the yields do change. So depending on which area you live in, you will get vast changes in yield. So if you go up, generally up north, you can be getting strong yields around about 8, 9, 10%. What you typically find with that, though, is the capital appreciation of the property, i.e. the value of the house won't go up perhaps as much. On a local level in Stratford, if you can get around about 5%, that's deemed, in certainly my opinion, in general consensus is a good yield, because not only do you get that, traditionally you'll always get a good capital appreciation again, as in the property price will go up. So you've got both sides working. So it's a good balance. So you won't get, the thing with Stratford, because it's an expensive area to buy in, that's why the yields aren't as good as perhaps when you go up north, because you can go up north and buy properties for sort of 50, 60 grand still, where you never get anything like that around here. But what you have then got is you've got certainty of kind of capital appreciation. As I say, 5%, if you're doing upwards of that, then that's your kind of benchmark, really. I think if you hit that number, then that's good yield. And that's going to send you on a positive scale. Yeah. Yeah, brilliant. Thanks a lot.
In this episode's home styling tip, again with the beautiful day, we're out in Blackminster Business Park at Carl Stallard's showroom with our lovely home stylist Jayne. So Jayne, do you want to show us what we're going to be doing today? Tell us all about it.
Hi Edward. Yeah, we're going to transform a normal duvet dressing bed into a show home / hotel luxury.
Like you see in those 5-star
Yeah,
hotels.
exactly,
Yeah,
exactly. It takes a little bit of work.
Okay.
But what we need to do, first of all, this is how you start off your bed, obviously.
Yeah.
And what we need to do is just tuck it under
Yeah.
the bottom, so it's nice and neatly done. And then what you need to do is an envelope corner, so you go in at the side and down and tuck it under.
Okay. Tricks of
Like
the
that,
trade.
see?
Never been able to work that one out.
So that
Right.
makes it a
That's
lot
called
more.
envelope corner, isn't
An
it?
envelope corner.
Right.
So after you've done your envelope corners,
Yeah.
the next thing you can do is add a throw, which will give some colour and some impact to the bed. So what I'm doing here is using 2 different ones.
You deliberately gone for a bold colour, was that what you tend to recommend?
Yeah.
Against the white?
I like bold colours, I'm not really a pastels person. But you could go, if you went white on white, I mean that doesn't matter, or you could go pastel. It's really a personal choice.
No, I like the contrast, it helps make it stand out more, doesn't it?
Yeah. And it's quite an in colour at the moment, orange, so
Indeed, love a bit of orange.
there we go. So that gives a little bit of background orange,
Yeah.
throwing that, which could normally be quite a boring throw really, but it's just brought it to life a bit.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. Would you tend to always say 2? Do you feel it looks better when you've got 2?
Well, I think aesthetically, yes it does.
Yeah.
Whether you could live with 2 is another matter. With this heat at the moment, you don't want anything on, do you? But
Yeah, true.
you know, in the winter, it's quite nice to have 2. And it does give you a bit of extra warmth as well. They're quite inexpensive and they're quite effective as well. So
Yeah.
there's quite a lot of them about at the moment. The choice is great.
Yeah, brilliant.
So
So then the next bit.
yes,
so
then we
pillows and
move on
cushions.
up to. Let's go to the pillows first. So,
Yeah, what would you recommend here then? Because obviously there's perhaps different ways you could do this. Do you have a preference?
yeah, so I don't mind either way really, but for dressing a show home or in a hotel room, you've probably seen them at an angle like that.
Okay.
So that's quite a good
Yeah.
position. I've also done them where I've done 2 down and 2 upright. So yeah, it just adds a little bit of interest.
Yeah, okay.
For this occasion, we're going to lie them down. Always make sure that your pillowcases are nicely pressed
Yeah.
and your edges are pointing out, so it looks nice and neat and tidy
Okay.
and pristine. That's what you're looking for, pristine.
Yeah.
And then we introduce the colour again, so we'll bring on the orange.
And that's obviously deliberate to match the
Yeah.
tone of the throw.
Absolutely. So we put those at a upright angle,
Yeah.
like that. And then just to bring in a little bit of interest, we could put something a little bit different. These are quite fun, they've got the spots on the back as
they
well.
do, aren't they? Yeah.
And
Again, the grey sits out, doesn't it? So yeah, it's
pulls it all
matches.
together.
Yeah, perfect.
So there you have a nicely dressed bed that any guest would be impressed by.
Agreed. Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Okay, you're very welcome. Lovely feature there on how to dress your bed. I think it very much is a process, isn't it? So layering, using lots of textures, playing with colour and really getting a look that gives a complete look but also gives that kind of 5-star quality.
Yeah, it's really powerful, I think, because often when we've had property in the past and you've got a bed, it's always a bit of a forgotten thing, but it definitely just goes to show, certainly from a marketing point of view, if you can go to the effort to actually stage it, and I think you're right, layering is exactly right, it's layer upon layer, and once you've built that up, then the final product looks absolutely amazing, and it doesn't cost actually that much to get to that, so it's well worth investing in it, because it does make
and of
a big
course you
difference.
can sort of change it with the seasons, or just you know, you want a bit of a fresh look, and you don't need to change the whole thing, you can just interject certain colours and take other things out and it gives a whole fresh look.
True, can.
This week's event that we're going to be looking forward to is actually next Saturday the 4th of August, and it's going to be at Anne Hathaway's cottage. It's a lovely production from the Immersion Theatre Company, so it's going to be a nice production of Alice in Wonderland set within the beautiful grounds. It will still be going ahead even if the weather's a little bit iffy, so be prepared. You're welcome to take picnic blankets, chairs, you know, picnic, food, have a lovely day, and of course the little ones may want to dress up because they will be able to meet their favourite characters afterwards. The event will start from 2 o'clock. If you go onto the Shakespeare Trust website, you'll be able to get all of the details on there, but I think that's going to be quite a nice one.
Yeah, be good. You can get dressed up.
Potentially.
Chose Alice.
I think I would be the White Rabbit.
Would you?
Yeah.
Queen of Hearts.
No, White Rabbit's my favourite character.
Is it?
Yeah.
Why is that?
I don't know. He was always late.
That should be my favourite character in that case, though. I'm always late. Yeah. Well, stay tuned as well for next episode. We're going to meet a very, amazing actually, local craft cider producer. It's fascinating to have their story and background behind how they started that. So stay tuned for that one. It's well worth watching.
Looking forward.
Yeah, it's good. And that concludes the episode. So thanks for watching, and remember to live, love and invest.